Out of the gates and ready to go. Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow today. Justin Tucker, has he played his final game in the NFL? The Bullygate in Miami with Jonathan Martin, was it a hoax? We'll discuss that. Plus, the NBA All-Star Game, once again, just a total disaster. Hope you'll like and subscribe and comment on the OutKick YouTube channel. Chad, Justin Tucker is coming off a poor season. And he's in the headlines this offseason because of massage therapists and accusations. When I see the latest accusations, 7 more massage therapists have accused Justin Tucker of sexual misconduct. The way that he, and through the attorney, he vehemently denied the initial report from the Baltimore Sun, I believe, is the outlet that first had this a couple weeks ago?
No, it's the Baltimore Herald. It's a different. It's not the Sun. It's not the paper
banner,
of record.
the
banner. Thank you.
Yes.
The Sun is the big paper of record. This is one that Justin Tucker initially said this is not a legitimate news organization.
Exactly. The allegations in the Baltimore Banner article about me are unequivocally false. That's the way his statement read, and it was a lengthy one. Normally, I'm just trying to think just logically here. You don't have others that just jump forward and also join in on the accusations if you release that statement and you're that definitive about it, right? It's not something you just jump on the bandwagon with. At least I don't think that would be the case. And I mean, all of the allegations are more or less very similar to one another. In the initial report, it was 6 massage therapists who alleged that the NFL kicker exposed his genitals, brushed up against them. They put him on the ban list where they didn't want to massage him anymore. 3 other women came forward earlier this month, and then now an additional 7. Who knows what number we end up with now? And the therapist, again, the behavior was so egregious that they would end the sessions early. And recently,
he got banned from different places.
Yes. And in the recent allegations, the new allegations say he just made intense eye contact and more or less did the same thing. Again, all the allegations, and these incidents occurred between 2012 and 2016, which is the year after I believe he was married. But the what feels like a long time ago is now just piling up in real time for Justin Tucker. And I can't help but think that the inappropriate behavior here, it's not a story you just, you know what, I'm going to join in on this. Given the fact that it's now a couple of weeks going and you have others that are coming forward saying, yeah, that also occurred with me. That this is what first looked like something that just felt so old, it's hard to go back in time and actually buy into every detail. The numbers piling up matter to me. Do they for you? Because it's the number of women that are saying that this occurred, or they had something similar that make this so bizarre and, believable, quite frankly.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of smoke for there not to be a fire. I think anytime you get a story like this and, okay, here are some allegations, but you can't run with it too quickly. All right, here's some more. And now you've got all of these different accusers. You've got some of these spas that are on the record that they had to distance themselves from Justin Tucker. A lot of smoke.
With receipts.
Awful lot of smoke for there not to be some sort of fire with Justin Tucker. Again, now the process has to play itself out. I'm not going to jump to any ultimate conclusion, but it doesn't look good. None of this looks good for Justin Tucker based on the amount of accusers, based on what different businesses are even saying about this. And I can't help but think that he had something on his mind that maybe this was going to break when he had this last season. That was bad, very bad by his standards.
Yep.
Fell off a cliff quickly. So my conspiracy theory part of my brain starts to think, I wonder if they got a heads up from the Banner or from a lawyer or someone that, hey, this is about to break and it's not going to be good, and we need to get out ahead of it or at least have a game plan for your defense when all this starts to happen. Keep in mind, it was, 2013 or 2014 that some fan put out a post on X Twitter at the time that said, Justin Tucker does this, this, and this at massage parlors, and talked about
that's right.
it, right? All this, it basically laid out exactly what he's accused of now, and it would be within the timeline of exactly what we're talking about, where it would have happened then. And so again, a lot of smoke for there not to be fire. We'll have to see everything else that comes about with this. I think he's probably going to have a hard time continuing to play in the NFL if this continues. I don't know how that's going to be a great spot for him to be in to return, because he's got a pretty lengthy legal battle that's coming his way, unless they just settle so quickly and he's fine paying millions of dollars and everyone signs NDAs and no one talks to the NFL. And then the NFL comes back and says, well, we can suspend you because we know something's up based on these settlements, but we didn't get a chance to talk to anyone. So it's not going to be as lengthy of a suspension as it could be.
Yeah. And so you're right. He's 35 years old. You have to compare
Which you would think kickers could go, another 4 or 5 years for him.
Yeah, but the
likely.
way he's
but he was bad.
Yeah, I mean he missed. I mean it wasn't midway through the season, but it was close, where he had already missed more kicks wide left than he had the previous season combined. Than what we had seen since 2022 or something. It was not up to his standard, or the Baltimore. So at 35 and the way things were going, and Harbaugh was already being asked questions about whether or not he's going to stick with him midway through the year, you would think that they were more or less, Baltimore's planning on trying to find another kicker anyway. Just make it, even for competition during camp coming up. So, I think it's easy to assume that he's played his final game, at least for the Baltimore Ravens. It's a story that continues to pile up. And the civil aspect of it, the NFL, I mean, we know the precedent is 11-game suspension. If he settles, because that's what Watson did.
Yeah, and
if we see that in court.
This is all very, I don't know Justin Tucker like I didn't know Deshaun Watson. I'll say this, this is an area where if you are a creep or a creepy dude, this is where you can go be a predator and borderline get away with it sometimes. And it's venue of massage is one that this stuff is believable to me if you have that predatory instinct in you, or that you almost feel like you're doing this legally when you go and get, you request, what other businesses can you say, I request a woman every time, and we're going to go into a room and shut the door, and I'm not going to be dressed. And this is totally on the up and up. It's something that I feel like if we got 100 massage therapists in here, Hutton, I guarantee you every woman who's done it has horror stories about situations they've been in. If they've done it a year or 20 years, they've got horror stories about it. So just the whole venue of massage therapy and dudes going in to get rubbed down by women for pay, I feel like lends itself to me hearing a story like this and not immediately say, oh, that's just crazy with this person, or that would never happen. I kind of nod and think, yeah, I could totally see that happening. It probably happens a lot more than we want to even think about. And I feel terrible for the massage therapists, the women that are put in these situations. But I feel like it's something that probably happens all the time.
You've had a massage, right?
Yeah.
Every time I've had one, they give you the option when you go in. They're like, hey, if you want to undress, just pull the sheet over you.
Yeah.
And we'll be in, or I'll be in 5 minutes or whatever. I never go nude. I don't know if I don't think to just fully go nude there.
But it's typically you're in your underwear,
that's what I mean.
Underneath a towel or a sheet.
I don't know. It's that aspect. I would be uncomfortable if I were laying there naked.
Look, there's not, I've had a bunch of massages. There's not one moment that I thought was remotely weird by either person involved in the massage when I've received a massage.
Right.
And also, if I get a massage, I'm requesting a woman. Nothing weird's happening, but I'm not in a hurry to get rubbed down by a male massage therapist, okay? Doesn't make me homophobic. Just makes me a guy who'd prefer a woman's hands being on me than a guy. Creep. But again, that would sound creepy to some. I'm not Justin Tucker. I'm not Deshaun Watson. But you can see as I'm talking how something like this, if you were Deshaun Watson or Justin Tucker and you got off this way, it's a pretty easy thing to do. And then you could kind of play it off as, I guess I was just being awkward. I really wasn't trying to do anything.
I agree with what you're saying. I mean, but also, I mean, this last happened according to the allegations in 2016.
Yeah, it's been a long time ago.
It's been a long time ago.
And that's the part of it.
But if you're like that, you don't do it again.
Well, he gets the benefit of the doubt regardless, and he gets to have a process play out. But that's the one part of this. If you're going, okay, what's weird about this? It's been nearly a decade since this last happened. Now, there may be another batch of 7 massage therapists that file suit in a week that's happened 2 weeks ago, or 2 years ago. That we don't know about yet. But it all happened a long time ago.
So to this point, he has not been charged with a crime. He has not been the subject of a civil lawsuit. These are just allegations out there. So, he's got the statement that he posted at the end of last month, but the accusers continue to come forward here in bunches, too. That's the other part of it. It's like it starts with 6, but there's 7 others. There's no one individual that just joins in on the allegations. So I guess they all know each other and talked about it. And again, it goes back. Chad's right. I mean, that social media post is bizarre now from a couple years ago.
It's awfully prescient when you think back on that post and what they were saying. And that leads me to believe that this was something that was known in the massage game. Inside of the massage world, the greater Baltimore area, massage world, this feels like a pretty known thing about Justin Tucker.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it certainly puts 2025 in the season in jeopardy, and certainly his future in the league. Chad, Bullygate was a massive topic for us.
Yes,
you and I have been doing a show since 2012.
Yep,
and Deflategate comes
right
to
about
mind.
the time Justin Tucker started harassing
there
massage therapists. Allegedly was about the time we started a show.
Yeah,
and he's had a long career.
The number of topics that we could point to, I think, that have dominated like a summer or dominated more than just a month of just straight shows. Lance Armstrong comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Deflategate.
Huge stories.
Deflategate, for sure.
Sandusky, Paterno.
Said yes. The anthem, kneeling for the anthem.
Yep.
Bullygate, I don't think I would automatically think about it. But I'm overlooking it because we did spend a ton of time. And this was like coming out of the era where, you could get tied to a goalpost and get, flour thrown on you. Right? Or baby powder or whatever.
The football equivalent of tar and feathers.
Hazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you can't, a coach at Minnesota cannot have punishment by exercise. You can't run the steps anymore without being called out for it. But Jonathan Martin, offensive lineman in Miami, was at the subject of this. And this is had a private deep dive into this on behalf of the league where he felt bullied while he was a member of the Miami Dolphins. And now it's been over 10 years now. And we're finally seeing where he said he's now admitting that he's never felt bullied. And he's been trying to clear this up for 10 years. I haven't seen this dude's name in the headline for the last 10 years trying to clear this up. That's the first thing that comes to mind. But you had Ted Wells, an attorney, hired by the league that actually found that there actually was bullying going on behind the scenes through his independent investigation and workplace conduct. And 10 years later, we're finally hearing from Jonathan Martin on this, trying to fix the story 10 years later. You had Richie Incognito, became a household name. He probably, I don't know if he was a household name, but he was known, maybe through Hard Knocks by then, maybe not.
And he's just kind of known as a psychopath. A football player.
But, he's retweeting or reposting something from Adam Schefter.
Well.
In the story, saying, well. But, he couldn't cut it in the NFL, so he quit, and his mom blamed me. Legacy media pushed the narrative long and far. Too bad it was all a lie. They lied to protect his money. He quit. The team had every right to claw back that money. His mom started the bullying narrative with ESPN and Schefter so that the Dolphins wouldn't go after his signing bonus. And this is the well. And you got the excerpt from Schefter saying that on the story of Jonathan Martin and how he felt bullied and, mental health and all of that. A decade later, this is just a flippant headline that, it was just something I've been trying to clear up for a while.
No, he hasn't. This is what
I haven't
bothers me
seen this
about
at
this
all.
story. He could have gone on any number. If Jonathan Martin said, I want to go on the Adam Schefter podcast and clear this up.
Right.
Or I want to go on ESPN, non-legacy media. You want to go on our podcast. You want to go on any of the podcasts that are out there, and I want to say how I really didn't feel bullied and set the record straight on this. You could have done that at any time in the last decade, and this story would have been picked up and covered. So, no, I don't buy that you've been trying to clear everybody's name of this and clear up the story for the last decade. You could have done that in any number of avenues, and you didn't. And people still suffered with their reputation because of it, which is BS on the part of Jonathan Martin. So I don't accept that part of this with him. Hutton, this is how I remember this story. The word woke today wasn't around in 2012 when this story broke in that time frame. But this is where that soft narrative of modern athletes kind of started. You got that greater debate about, this guy's getting hazed like everyone in the NFL gets hazed, but this generation's just soft.
And taunted. And
this guy's weak, he's soft, he's this, he's that. That was kind of the debate back and forth with other people saying, no, this is behavior that should not be accepted anywhere, including an NFL locker room, and this is something that shouldn't be happening. And the debate waged on. The debate and the culture war continues to wage on today in an even bigger sense. But the word woke wasn't around then, but this would have been one of those woke arguments back in 2012.
So
those for Martin, those against Martin, those that say he's weak, he's been nurtured by his upbringing and he's not tough enough and all these different things. That was the debate of the time. That would continue to be the debate of today. I'll just say that at the time I thought that what I heard was going on is stuff we've heard going on in locker rooms for years.
Yeah, but it was,
and didn't think much of it.
But the internal investigation is what's so interesting about it.
The internal investigation.
Because they found specific instances where Martin participated in this that, okay, let me read a few of these. And
basically like the culture was broken.
But Davey, let's look up and see if the Dolphins were fined or punished for any of this, because they did find officially in this report on the bullying scandal that there were concerning issues of workplace conduct at the Miami Dolphins organization, okay? And specifically with Richie Incognito. A few of these. Social boundaries broken. The report said that nearly all the players interviewed had strong reaction to Incognito, some calling him a great teammate and a hard worker. At the same time, he was described as aggressive with, quote, little sense of social boundaries. Sister targeted. Many of the taunts directed at Jonathan Martin involved his sister, a medical student, who the players had never met. The comments about Martin's sister were both vulgar and graphic in nature, and taunts were ongoing. Quote, Martin reported that he heard the insults about his sister throughout the Dolphins training facility, in the locker room, practice field, in the showers, in the offensive line room, sometimes in the cafeteria. Okay, that's Martin being cited in this report. Inappropriate gifts. Dolphins offensive line coach Jim Turner was aware of the running quote-unquote joke that player A was gay, and on at least one occasion, he participated in the taunting. Christmas 2012, Coach Turner gave the offensive linemen gift bags that included a variety of stocking stuffers. The gifts included inflatable female dolls for all of the offensive linemen except player A, who received a male blow-up doll. Turner told the report's authors that he did not recall the incident. The coach said this. Insults. Incognito does not dispute saying or writing any of the statements that Martin claimed offended him. Incognito admitted that at times the very purpose of the verbal taunts were to quote-unquote get under the skin of another person, and from his perspective, the statements in question were accepted, a part of everyday camaraderie with the top tight-knit offensive line. Again, that's the locker room talk is the way I read into that. Now, here's where it gets serious. And how if you're trying to clear this up for 10 years, 10 years later, you can't act like you've been doing this. This is under the ESPN paragraph for suicidal thoughts. Again, serious. Martin came to view his failure to stand up to his teammates as a personal shortcoming. According to Martin, the mistreatment by his teammates and his inability to make them stop drove him into a depression and led him to contemplate suicide on 2 occasions in 2013. racist taunts. On the anniversary of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, Incognito, Pouncey, and Jerry, 2 other players, jokingly threatened to harm the assistant trainer physically in retaliation for the Pearl Harbor attack. According to Martin, the assistant trainer confided in him that he was upset about those comments, finding them derogatory towards his heritage. And then finally, Incognito also kept a book of fines. Players will do this, for being late to a meeting or a penalty or not doing something according to the locker room code. That he had a $200 fine in his book of fines that was he put in there for himself for breaking J-Mart, and another one was for $250 issued to a player for not cracking first. Again, this is a lot of locker room stuff, but it's coming directly from Jonathan Martin, who now says, no, that it never happened or I wasn't actually bullied in all of it. 10 years later. And Incognito is known as being the perceived as being the guy behind the scenes that is leading the charge on this, when in fact now Martin's saying, no, this didn't happen. That's just, I don't just brush this under the rug as okay. Because of what it now, think about the stories we have seen over the last 10 years for the anti-bullying culture, or just the protection of someone who felt like they were offended to be offended. And
to me, this was sort of the start of that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this
that's why I don't just say, he's now saying it didn't happen. Okay, whatever. It's old news. I don't think we should just brush this under the rug because of what stemmed from it. Which I'm sure there are many cases of bullying, of inappropriate action, but I mean, the independent investigation from the attorney spoke directly to players, coaches, and Jonathan Martin, who's quoted in this report, where they found that there was a workplace issue. So I don't know how you come back 10 years later and say, yeah, it didn't happen.
I would like to know what's changed with Jonathan Martin, what's changed in his mind that makes him think differently about what happened then. Richie Incognito clearly taking his victory lap right now has always felt consistent about his part in this and that it was overblown.
And Incognito was suspended.
I mean, were there inappropriate things in there, with someone in the workplace? Of course. But again, there's just different rules that apply. People that haven't been around sports don't really understand this. There are different rules that apply in a locker room, in a sports setting, what can be said, what can't. All those things are different than if you work at Dunder Mifflin and you're in the office. It's just different. If you're in a cubicle versus in a locker room, the rules are very different. Now, if you feel like you're being taunted in a way or your sexual orientation is being ridiculed to the point that you're having suicidal thoughts, that person should absolutely go see someone and go do something about it. If them saying, hey, stop doing it, to the perpetrators of it doesn't work, those are the steps that you take. But I'm having a hard time with the disconnect here of all the details that Hutton just went through in this case from 12 years ago to now, and he's saying, well, I really didn't feel bullied at all.
From this,
very, very, very strange story.
Yeah, from the story, after this is pointed out, and Schefter put this in as notable, after years of requests, Martin finally agreed to speak with ESPN. And after a series of interviews starting in late 2023, he was determined to emphasize what he's doing now and to communicate what his plans are for the future and how he should be judged. And he goes back to, he edits himself in real time, texting updates and changes to previous comments. He sways from being assertive to being cautious. He describes himself as an alpha, wants to assure you he was fully formed person in his 20s. He worries over retaining agency of his story. And then the quote, I never believed for a second I was being bullied. You wanted everyone else to. That's
and right? Careers were hurt because of it and a lot of other things. So.
It says it's a story I've been trying to fix for 10 years. I just...
Okay.
No.
Could have gone on countless. Call any producer in America that hosts anything remotely dealing with sports or culture, and they would have gladly booked Jonathan Martin, where you could have told your entire story and cleared the air at any point in the last 10 years. Not buying that part of it.
Incognito saying, well. I mean, he was suspended for it. didn't end his career there. And again, this happened in Miami. Armando Salguero worked for the Miami Herald there as the lead beat writer for the Dolphins. We'll talk with him later this week about it. You can read his stuff at OutKick.com as well. The NBA All-Star Game, I didn't watch.
It's an abomination.
I watched one piece of NBA All-Star Weekend, and it was an interview with Mac McClung, your 3-time now NBA dunk champion, with Vince Carter, who's a special guest, discussing Mac McClung and now the all of a sudden interest in players wanting to get involved in the dunk contest now and whatever. That's the only part of NBA All-Star Weekend I watched. I did see a highlight of Draymond Green missing the chest pass competition 3 times in a row right after Mac McClung won his 3-time dunk contest, I guess. That's all.
All I watched.
They're trying to create a new buzz about it that I just didn't get into.
And it failed. It failed miserably. I didn't watch the game, but reading all accounts of it, that part of it failed miserably. I watched Friday night and watched Dalton Connect and his Rising Stars team in that 1st to 40 type format to become the team that represented the Rising Stars. I also bet a little bit with our friends at Prize Picks on the over 5 points for him and Zach Edey, who were on the same team in that game. I did not win. I also didn't know when I picked it that it was 1st to 40. I just thought, I'm like, it's an all-star game. They're going to go over 5 or 6.5 points. Like, this is easy money. It's 1st to 40 points in the game. And Connect went over, and Edey did not in the game.
But
anyway,
1st to 40. It's a lot like the Ice Cube League or whatever.
Yeah, it was very, very strange. So the NBA All-Star Game and the NBA, not just the All-Star Game, the NBA took a gigantic L this week. And they took a gigantic L because for years they've been taking a gigantic dump on their fan base. And that continued over the weekend. They don't respect their fans. It's that simple. The league does not care if you care about it. LeBron James, who people thought were going to play in this game, a few hours before the game happens, someone asked, so what are we going to see from you tonight? Well, you're not going to see anything because I'm not dressing out because my knee and ankle are still sore. People view the NBA and their players as a group of people that only care about themselves and do not care about growing the game, growing their fan base, or the fans that pay money to see them play. And that's a huge disconnect, and it's a big problem. It's so much of a problem with the league right now and the quality of it, or at least the perception of it from a lot of people, that Draymond Green, who's currently in the league, had this to say about the NBA All-Star Game.
It's not smart basketball no more. I saw a clip not too long ago where Kobe said, like, yo, it's accidental basketball. He couldn't have been more right. It was so refreshing to play against Bron because every possession is like a chess match. But you don't just get that on a regular basis. It's just who can run faster, who can hit more threes. It's no substance. And so I think it's very boring.
I think it's very boring talking about the NBA. That, by the way, he averages 8.5 points per game, currently playing with the Golden State Warriors. Played 41 games this season, still actively playing in the league. I would agree with his take that the league is very boring. Charles Barkley came back and said, everybody talking about the All-Star Game sucking in this format. Right after Draymond Green got done, they go to Barkley and he says, he's to blame. It's his generation of players that made the All-Star Game what it is now, and they had to completely flip the format to do something different because last year's game, someone scored 211 points in it. It was 211 to 186 or something crazy like that. Look, the All-Star Game has been going downhill for 20 years. This isn't something new. I'm not here to rant on the decline of the NBA All-Star Game, which we all knew sucked for a very long time. But if you are the NBA, this is the problem you have right now. One, you've got TNT spouting off at the mouth and saying everything that everyone thinks but doesn't say out loud that covers the league because they don't give a shit anymore because they're losing the league. So they've been given carte blanche to trash everything, including bring Draymond Green on to trash the league and call it boring. So they can continue doing that. The other part of this is that they got their ass kicked by hockey over the weekend. I'm shocked to say this, but I spent a lot of time watching USA and Canada on Saturday night. Patriotism sells. Donald Trump sells. That guy can talk trash about anyone, including a sovereign nation in Canada, and threaten a tariff and get the entire country booing the national anthem for America. Can get the United States and Canada into a situation where it was like the miracle on ice, U.S. versus Soviet Union back in the day in 1980, watching these two teams battle it out. All the fights in the first 9 seconds, everything. It was compelling television. I haven't cared about hockey in years, and I'm compelled by that product. Here are the stars of the NHL risking life and limb to destroy each other on a sheet of ice during what is usually their all-star break. And meanwhile, you have the NBA.
It's their new all-star weekend.
And meanwhile, you have the NBA.
This is what they've turned to. They've created country versus country, and the NBA can't do that. You know, they could have the
they could have America versus
team,
international.
They could do international, yes, but it's made up of individuals, not teams.
Yeah.
You know, you're drafted by Team Chuck or Team Ernie, right? Like it's not.
To me, look, it still wouldn't work because they wouldn't play the way the hockey players are playing each other in this game, and they wouldn't go all out. But to me, the only other solution is you take the page out of the NHL's book and you say, okay, we'll go United States of America versus everyone else in the world in an all-star game, and then see if the pride comes in and guys actually play.
Well,
which they wouldn't.
We do this each year where we look. Here's a newsflash for you. Next year's NBA All-Star Weekend will suck ass.
Yep.
Okay, let's go ahead and just put this on repeat. The reason for that is it's not about All-Star Weekend. It is about the in-season product and how the players. Charles Barkley's correct, but it's not because they allow 200 points in an NBA All-Star. Jordan's era was putting up 130. You know, like they're still scoring quite a bit too over the. That's what you want to see. But Chad, you know my 3-minute rule in the NBA: 3 minutes remaining, 10 points or less. That's when the game starts. That's also when the game starts for All-Star Weekend, or what it previously did. I don't know about this past weekend, but my point being, when they start respecting the actual in-season product more, then you'll see a better All-Star Weekend discussion. Mac McClung is your dunk champion now, three-time NBA dunk contest winner, sitting on set with Vince Carter, who is the poster of the NBA dunk contest. You know, with going elbow deep into the rim, and all of the iconic posters of Vinsanity, and you know, he's trying to hype up the fact that at however old he is now, he could still take on Mac McClung. I believe it, but you have Vince Carter who's trying to challenge Mac McClung. John Moran, I believe, is saying like he wants to be a part of it. Great. But then they're asking Mac McClung. Mac McClung's got to be the villain and start calling out these dudes if you want to see them participate, because you've got the white kid showing up everybody, training for this one event because he's not good enough to play in the actual league. Step forward and do something about it. And instead of, I think he was asked about some of the other stars coming back. He goes, man, I don't know how I feel about it. That's going to be quite the challenge because this one was. I've been training. This has been the toughest process of training for this event I've had among the 3 wins because I've got to do something new to win. He's right, but the only thing new moving forward would be an actual star showing up to this event. And
did they even do a 3-point shootout? I haven't even seen anything about it.
I don't know.
I didn't see who won. I don't know if they even had one.
Well, we only knew about it last year because
they had the women in. Yeah,
with Steph. TNT is in a great position, even though they lost out on the live sports and the programming for the NBA, because they own Inside the NBA, which is now going to be on ESPN, but it's licensed through TNT. TNT just got just re-up Shaq for $15 million annually. And they've got the guys who will sit there and tell it like it is.
Tyler Hero won the 3-point shootout.
There you go. Cool.
That's a guy I know because he actually played in college.
Yeah, but I mean, you've got the NHL. They have just scrapped the All-Star Weekend, and they said we're going to have this, 4 Nations Challenge. Which, by the way, there's about to be 8 nations moving forward.
Yeah, but it's not going to be every year. They're going to mix it up and not make it an annual event. They're going to still have an All-Star weekend, but they're going to mix
officially.
This in. Yes.
Well, because they've got the Olympics coming up, they have to prepare for that. That's probably why they have to do some other variation and sprinkle it in. But based on the ratings, they shouldn't go back to the anything All-Star related because they don't have to manufacture the actual care that the players take into the game. And the rivalries, the patriotism, the pride.
Yeah, I'm all for more people booing national anthems if it inspires this level of play. Have at it. Like, everybody boo everyone else's national anthem if you give me that good of a product.
It's real.
Yeah, it's not manufactured at all.
That's the thing, is it's real. You can feel it, and you can feel the shoulder shrug of the NBA with this. They're trying new things. They know there's an issue because they continue to change the format. But they can't change the interest unless the players do.
Unless they care.
And I would say that about the regular season games, too.
And that's why you would almost, like, it sounds crazy, but you either do U.S. versus international or you do, like, hockey and you take a week off and you get the 5 or 6, the 6 top nations to go head-to-head and have some national pride involved and have some stakes with some money to the winner or whatever. It's like Don Draper in Mad Men. It's like, that's what the money's for.
Well,
like the motivation. Something. Why don't you say, and I'm thinking to myself, we got to give these guys $25 million now is one thing I've seen, that the winning team splits $25 million. I'm like, these guys already make so much damn money.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to motivate them to do something and give back and try for the fans.
Well, but here's the thing.
And actually give a good spotlight on your sport.
The top stars in the NHL are making good money too. Not NBA money.
No.
But whenever USA hears the anthem booed, by God, they're going to go fight 3 times in a row within the first 15 seconds of the game. The perception I have of the NBA is they would take a knee. If the anthem were booed, they're not going to.
They join in the boos.
They're not going to drop the gloves.
Steve Kerr would coach the national team and turn his back on the national anthem while it was happening.
Yeah. He would cry at the podium post game.
He'd get the Canadians to get on their feet, or they're booing louder. Can't hear you. Get it up. Let's go.
LeBron's going to say that his daughter's not safe because Trump's president.
Yeah.
There's just the NBA would make it political by leaning the other way instead of making it about country versus country, which is what it is in the NHL and what they had going with the 4 nations. Even though politics got involved with it, it became patriotism. And guess what happened? People tuned into the product.
Trump sells, man. Say what you want about the guy. That dude knows how to draw an audience. He gets people fired up.
Let me say this too, though.
And the fact that Canada now is talking trash and booing the American national anthem is something else. And it's gotten a lot of people that I know have no interest in hockey were glued to the television Saturday night watching that game because of the emotion involved, because of the anti-Canadian stuff that's going on with Canada being anti-American.
With the tariff.
The Canadians had won 17 straight international games going into that, and the Americans broke that streak with that 3-1 win. It was awesome.
Let me say, Trump sells, the NBA sells. Look at their rights deal. Billions upon billions. I mean, that we're seeing that TNT couldn't pony up and pay, even though they wanted to keep. They're paying Shaq $15 million a year now.
I don't understand
to talk about the product. It does sell. I just don't see who's watching this.
That's what the ratings. The ratings have gone down so much that I don't. It's like they're subsidizing the league with huge media rights. People are overpaying for it.
Yes.
I think next year, think about this for NBC. They get back the NBA, so they'll have the NBA All-Star Game. The NBA All-Star Game will take place during the Winter Olympics.
Okay.
And they will have a month of February where they get the Super Bowl next year, into the Winter Olympics, and they have a plan to also apparently cross-promote the NBA All-Star Weekend into a big package as part of all of this. That's a big month of February where once again you had this weekend where the hockey game was taking place Saturday night. You had SNL's 50th, which had a huge rating last night up against the All-Star Game. Point being, like, it's not like the NBA All-Star Game next year moving to NBC is going to take center stage in the American consciousness.
Unless...
Because all this other stuff's going to be going on.
Not the game. The only thing that could happen now is Caitlin Clark shows up and Mac McClung calls out one of the top stars and says, bring it. I'm winning the award because you don't have the balls to, go dunk in front of a crowd.
Bring you on Triple H and Stephanie McMahon to run All-Star Weekend, basically?
Yeah.
That would help.
You have to create that, but there's just no, I don't care about the rising stars against the OGs.
I'll say that I love Dalton Knecht. I'm a Vol. He's a Vol. I wanted to watch him Friday night, and he did well. And I know Zach Edey, because he was a college sensation and a star, so it's fun to watch him out there as part of that. Hutton, they go down introducing these guys.
Yeah.
It's an under-19 team. They're all so young. The young guys in the league, and I'm watching with Angie, and she says, these look like children. They're also in huge warm-ups, which didn't help. And I was like, I think part of it's the camera angle and that they're in like big, baggy warm-up tops. But, yeah, they look like they're in middle school.
We're also old.
Right. But they look –
Not Angie,
now
we
they took the shooting tops off. And I'm like, okay, now they look like more fully developed men. But before that, I'm like, boy, they do look young.
So these guys at their age are way more cultured than Hutton growing up on the farm. Okay, I didn't get out much in rural Middle Tennessee.
Well, the world is smaller because it's at their fingertips with everyone growing up with smartphones.
Cooper Flagg saying that I might not just be a one and done. I may want to stay in college. Good,
yeah,
good,
great.
Because beyond just NIL, there is a development and an experience of that a lot of these guys don't have in the league because they're jaded and they're pampered from AAU on, and they don't know what real life is. So when it's individualized and you got a camera in your face and LeBron's on page 2 of the book that he doesn't read, they think they're smarter than everyone because they've been told that. And that's kind of the pompous ass attitude that a lot of them I perceive take into the day-to-day grind of their professional sport that the other sports don't have. You got to work your butt off to get into the Major League Baseball clubhouse, right?
Yeah.
In the NBA, if you're coming straight out and you're a one and done, you're a great player and you've always had everything taken care of because you're the great player. In the NFL, again, you're a 3-year college student. I put student in quotes there for you. But you're in college for 3 years. There is a, I don't know. There's a work aspect to it that I think a lot of the individuals, not every one of them, a lot of them have, that they just haven't experienced what it's like to actually obtain something because they're so great at obtaining something from the moment they started the sport. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They don't know what they don't know.
No, like Zachary Risacher, the number 1 overall pick with the Atlanta Hawks, who's French and played in Spain and played in all these different countries internationally.
Great last name.
He's been the greatest player of his age or one of the best growing up throughout. I picture that guy, Hutton, whereas 25 years ago, that guy would have to show up in an NBA locker room, earn his worth with the veterans on the team, even if it was a bad team. There'd be at least one guy who demanded or had a presence in the locker room.
Yeah.
And now I picture Risacher showing up to the Atlanta Hawks locker room with a handler, an interpreter, his dad, his brother, and they all walk in together and they go, all they're separate. They go eat dinner together. They do everything together as a group. This is how I picture all of these young stars, is they come with a team. And there's no locker room part of it. You are just a highly paid,
you're a company,
huge cog in this machine that, we will allow you to do whatever it takes for you to feel comfortable. And we don't want you to feel uncomfortable in this league. I want guys feeling uncomfortable. I want guys put in spots where they're uncomfortable. And the college aspect of this, Cooper Flagg or Dalton Knecht or whoever, they're not going to have a college-like atmosphere until they get to the playoffs, whenever they play in that.
The other thing, though,
we're going to go get to see a regular season game next Friday, and we can report back on what we see.
Yep.
But it's a good Knicks team against a good Grizzlies team
every time
in Memphis, and I want to see what the atmosphere is like.
Every time that we have been to an NBA game together, we've had a great time.
it's a fun night.
It's a fun night, but
now,
it's not.
I can't imagine. I don't remember a game thinking, man, the atmosphere in here is really tense,
Right,
and good.
But
it's fun.
At what
but,
point does the individual aspect that I'm discussing, and I think you're in agreement with, is just that I'm better than my opinion matters so much, nose in the air kind of thing. At what point does that actually turn into us not discussing them because they're irrelevant? If the storyline year after year is the NBA All-Star Weekend sucks, at what point do we treat it like it sucks? You see what I'm saying?
I think everybody's treating it like it sucks by not watching.
But we're discussing about everyone not watching.
I think I disagree. I think what's going on now is it's very simple. This is endemic of the entire league struggles. So now it's bled over to how can we create the NBA All-Star Game and make it better?
Well, that's what I'm saying about the regular season.
Now the NBA All-Star Game totally reflects all of the problems with the NBA.
But it has been though. This isn't breaking news.
And that's an issue.
It has been a huge issue. Now we're finally hearing the former stars come out and say it.
Well,
but it's only one network that's going to do it now.
The difference now is, though, that they have so drastically changed the format to where there's these like 6 to 40 games, and then it's like a tournament on the night of the All-Star game.
Right.
And then eventually you get to the older stars versus. So the fact that the NBA had to hat in hand after a year ago where it was 211 to 186 and everybody complained about it, say, we're going to completely reshape what we do. And then that sucks too, because none of the players like that either, and the play on the court sucks. That's where you've reached a crisis point where what can you even do to save it? And I think the only thing you could even try is the international route.
But that won't matter for one weekend. It has to matter on a random Thursday night in Milwaukee.
They just need a win, is what I would say. It's a league that is desperate in need of a win. And I would say the same about the NHL. My goodness, when's the last time we talked about hockey on this show?
But
when's the last time it was relevant? I'm like, they needed a win. And Gary Bettman with this idea, which I thought was cheesy to begin with, this sort of fabricated, created international 4 nations face-off. And it is a huge win. I stand corrected. It has been great theater. And they won. They just won the weekend. They've won the season with this one weekend.
That's what I'm saying about the NBA, though. When's the last time we talked about the NHL? We don't, because it's not relevant. If nobody watches NBA All-Star Weekend, let's treat it like that.
Yeah, I think it's less about All-Star Weekend and more about what this change in All-Star Weekend, and it's still sucking, even worse, says about the state of the NBA as a whole.
Well, again, a year from now, let's go ahead and mark it down. The NBA All-Star Weekend will suck.
Yeah, if they do this again.
Well, if they do anything. Because, my overall point, because they don't do anything about the regular season.
No, but it doesn't. I also firmly believe it doesn't have to suck this bad.
Well,
they could make an effort to do something better. This isn't it. This isn't getting anybody excited. No one's caring or playing hard.
What was their rights deal worth? I mean, that's the other issue that I can't wrap my head around.
They're getting overpaid. Media companies are overpaying for the NBA brand, and I don't understand it. It's like a loss leader.
That's why they don't have to change very much.
It's like they're saying, we'll just drain our economics on this league that's dying right now, that not as many people are paying attention to. I'm not saying they're close to death, but it's a huge decline in interest in the league over the last few years. You're not usually overspending on that product, and that's what they're doing.
11 years is their new rights deal. And what, is it like 76? It's like 7 a year? Like $76 billion combined.
And ESPN and everyone is overpaid.
ESPN,
Overpaying
ABC, NBC, Amazon Prime, a new $76 billion 11-year contract. That's why it doesn't matter.
I got to get a hold of some of this Prime money, this Amazon money, man. That's just. Let's come up with an idea and just pitch it to Amazon and see what they'll give us for it. I feel like they just have write-offs laying around. Like if you bring them anything, they're like, yeah, we'll throw $75 million at that idea. What's that to us?
Think about it. It is still, isn't it crazy? I can't wrap my head around the fact that they haven't turned a profit on the streaming aspect. Only Netflix has done that. That is it.
And again, that at least to me is a sort of, especially for Amazon and Apple, like I understand the concept of that being their marketing tool
Right,
also.
right.
So like you're throwing money at marketing with that, As Severance, a show I love on Apple TV, there's a lot of like Apple-y references on the show, subliminal marketing,
Okay,
advertising about Apple products. So they're very smart in how they do that.
And they want
how
live-
they make everything look like an Apple store. Clean,
Shiny,
pretty to look at,
pristine.
shiny, great actors.
Not a hair out of place.
A-listers on every show,
Yep.
right? It looks great. Whether the shows are good or not, it looks terrific.
Jet,
Kind of like the new iPhone. It looks terrific, but sometimes it doesn't work.
what didn't look terrific was the rafters for Illinois as they hang the Terrence Shannon Jr. jersey upside down in the retirement ceremony. This
Hang from the ceiling of State Farm Center.
is put yourself in the shoes of the person that hung this. Oh,
Oh, no.
the music.
Oh, that's great. With the needle drop.
Now they had the game. This is pregame, right? So they didn't have to raise. They have to raise the banner above the jumbotron, play the game, and then I think they fixed it at halftime or something, or tried to. Extremely embarrassing. It can't happen. But the reaction to this has been way over the top with the apologies.
So-
and sorry if anyone's offended. We're so sorry. Sorry to the Shannon family. Sorry to the mother. It's like it's a huge mistake that happened, and you kind of laugh it off, don't you?
Yes.
That's all you got to do is laugh it off. It's not
He laughed. I mean,
I know, but
there's
it's
people
like
laughing there.
But
You laugh it off. May I
Yes.
offer a contrary opinion on
sure,
this?
yes.
I think that banner going down upside down is sweet poetic justice to a university that would retire a uniform a year after a dude left the program and didn't even win a national title or go to a Final Four. Way too quick. Way too quick for anything like this. This rush to put a statue up or to put a banner up, like give it a decade. Give it 5 years. Give it 15 years. Terrence Shannon Jr. could come back to Illinois 15 years from now, and everyone could be in the stand. Man, that was a great era. What an exciting player to watch. He's back in Champaign, and we're gonna honor him tonight. He's bringing friends and family back, his teammates on that team. That's when you do this ceremony. So I think that thing going down backwards or upside down is a sign to everyone. Just pump the brakes a little bit.
No one can.
I'm not saying he doesn't eventually deserve his number in the Raptors or any of that, but a year after he left,
Yeah, you have to.
what's the rush?
The rush is trying to keep up with the Joneses. Everyone's like our ceiling is very bare. Let's hang a jersey. Let's have him invest in our program moving forward because his uniform is
Maybe
retired.
that's it. They're like asking for NIL contributions. They need to get him in quicker. But I just wait.
I know.
Those things are so much more impactful if you wait a while, then bring the player back. Wait till his career's over. Wait however long you need to, and then bring him back where everybody can reminisce
I agree.
about the good old days, and you can truly honor him. And it's a more impactful ceremony when that happens. And maybe God will reward you by it being upright when the banner drops down, not upside down.
I think he should.
I think
lead
God
into
is
it.
punishing them.
Well,
I think God punished them with that banner. That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
God is punishing the Illini for that banner.
I would just lean into it and say, please just keep it upside down forever. Like it happened. It's a moment. That's my banner up there in the rafters, upside down.
It's me, forever and ever.
Yeah. Maybe Terrence Shannon Jr. will coach the NBA All-Star game next year.
Maybe he can fix it.
Against Team C, Chris Mullen.
I think
Team C.
Silver's about to hire the event management team from the University of Illinois to run the next All-Star game based on what they did there. That's the only one who can fix it.